Welcome to Inside Scoop Live, the podcast where indie authors get personal, sharing insights about their books, their writing journeys, and their passions. I'm your host, Sherry Hoyt, and I invite you to join me for engaging conversations with both debut indie authors and seasoned veterans. Whether you're looking for your next great read or a bit of inspiration, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Kathy Forbes joins the show today to talk about her book, Wedding Planning: 5 Easy Steps and the Secret to Pull It Together. It's a practical guide that helps couples plan, organize, and enjoy every step of their wedding with ease and confidence. Before we get started, let's get the inside scoop on the author. Kathy Forbes knew that her youngest daughter was going to be engaged soon, so she enrolled at BCIT and earned her wedding and event planning credentials in 2005. She changed careers from corporate sales analyst to something that brings meaning and joy to her life every day, and in no time she put it to good use. One daughter married in 2006 and the other in 2007. She retired in 2020 but continued to expand her world. Kathy is an artist in several mediums, styles, and subjects, as well as a miniature hobbyist, both passions stemming from a desire to preserve and share meaningful memories. She travels, gardens, and enjoys reading and self-education, constantly expanding her world by trying new experiences. Kathy wrote Wedding Planning as both a personal keepsake and an educational reference to help others. Her goal is to make planning a wedding a wonderful experience. Her life's motto is Be Interested and Interesting. And you can learn more about Kathy Forbes and her work at anewpageevent.com. Well, hi, Kathy. Welcome to Inside Scoop Live.
Hi, I'm excited about this.
I'm excited to learn more about you and your book. Why don't you get us started by telling us a little bit about your book, Wedding Planning: 5 Easy Steps and the Secret to Pull It Together. What's it all about and what inspired you to write a book about it?
Well, it's basically a do-it-yourself DIY guide. However, by reading it, you could actually learn how to become a wedding planner. Through my business, I just wanted to educate people, clearly and simply explaining the process. Some people learn by reading, others through stories or examples, so I've got everything there. I wanted to create a book that feels like a friend's wise advice during a quiet chat, simple, direct, and filled with things you wouldn't hear anywhere else.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the inside scoop, so to speak. Now, your approach to wedding planning really stands out from the typical, what one would think of as a typical wedding guide. What gap did you see in other books or online advice that made you want to create something different?
Most of the books, online, magazine articles, whatever, are focusing on filling out forms, so you get the base of what's going on. It is how the lists and templates relate to each other to make things work. You can have all the lists, but if you don't know how to use them, it doesn't do you any good. So, for most couples, this is the first big event that they have done and may not know what to ask the vendors and be able to compare one from another. Also, vendors have particular requests from their industry that they wish the clients to understand. Getting all this information from their clients so that the vendors can meet the client's needs. I wanted both sides to be addressed. Stories of actual weddings help get perspective, education, and help with the decision-making process.
Yeah, wow. You cover it all. What I love is that your book kind of centers on one key idea, and that's the importance of having a dedicated person in charge the day of. Why is that role so essential to making the whole plan work?
Well, when I came a wedding planner, a lot of things stood out. You don't know what the back end does.
Mm,
So, 2 reasons actually. First and foremost is that the couple have a stress-free time and they're treated like VIPs at their own wedding.
yeah.
So that's the goal, whether it's a wedding planner business person or it's somebody in charge. Secondly, someone oversees the whole day. And what that does is not bothering guests or the couple with minor or major issues. Like, why spoil the day? Let's just get it done and cover it up.
Mm, right, right. The heart of your book is built around 5 simple but really powerful steps. Can you walk us through how these 5 pieces connect to create that stress-free experience you were talking about?
Okay, so the 5 steps that I've come up with, the most important thing is the budget. How much money do you have, and not to stress yourself out that you don't have enough for what you wanna do. And also, you don't wanna pay it off for years to come. And
Right.
so the budget, what it does is give you a realistic and clear vision of what you need and what is required. Then the timeline, step number 2, it basically is what is the process and the items to be addressed in the process logically. You know, we got to do this, this comes next. So it's very methodical. The third step is the day of schedule. And if you have it well planned, the stress free schedule, so everyone and everything is accounted for, you try your best to do that. What is entailed in the process and what do you require? So on the timeline, it says you got to do this and that, whatever. Okay, what are the duties and the tasks that need to be done? So it lays it out clear. And then the lists and assignments capture all the needs to be done and who is responsible to carry it out. So you've got all the things you got to do, and then you have a list of what you got to do, and then you got to assign it to somebody to do the task. So they all join together to make a stress-free, happy day.
Okay, okay. So, do you have a team that you work with, or do you do it all?
It depends on the wedding. I've got the system down pretty darn good, and usually it's just me and an assistant wedding planner. I wrote the book for people can do it themselves,
Right,
you
DIY,
know?
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What lessons or surprises from your own wedding shaped how you organize these 5 steps?
I wrote what happened at our wedding, which took place many, many years ago, 1973. And the oops, challenges, and happenings, they all happened at our wedding. And at least one of them happens at every wedding. No wedding, hard as you try to get it perfect, there's always some little thing that pops up. So basically, some things never change. There's always something. So this book will help you plan for them, minimize them, or just smile through them. They all fell into one of the steps that I have, listed out now. So anyway, 50 years ago, you learned what to do through friends and family, got suggestions, leads on vendors, and did research yourself. I was really lucky that my mom was outstanding in her process, people skills, common sense, and a budget wizard.
Yeah. I love that one of the tips is to just smile through it. Because sometimes that's all you can do, right?
Yes, exactly.
One of the big takeaways from your book is that a wedding doesn't have to rest on one person's shoulders. And you talk about that in your steps, assigning different people. Why do you think that delegation is kind of difficult for some couples, and how can they get more comfortable with it?
Basically, it's just human nature. It comes down to different personalities of the individuals. You're envisioning a perfect day and you want to get there. You don't want to impose upon others or be instructed to do something you really don't want to do. So you clearly map out your vision and ask the people if they want to do it and if they have the ability to do it.
Mm,
So, how do you work together for a common goal? What are your strengths and weaknesses in a situation and the other person's strengths and weaknesses? So, where you are weak and they are strong, delegation to the other person makes it easier. Truly look at the job description and see that it is a benefit to delegate. Plus, it makes the other person feel special and included.
yes, that's a key. Tell us more about what you call the secret to pull it together, having a specific go to person in charge, and how, if they don't want to do it themselves, how can couples find the right person for that role, and what qualities should they look for?
Okay, this is major actually. First, you got to look outside your circle and not choose a guest that's attending the wedding because the guests are there to enjoy the wedding. They shouldn't be doing a job. You hire somebody, you get somebody independent. So it could be your coworker's sister, for example. She's so organized, she's done these before and she's a step away from the wedding. She can take a clear idea of what's going to happen and what you want. So, qualities of this person that you're looking for, they can think on their feet, which is major, hit the ground running, like, okay, I got the idea. Okay, let's now do it. Know you as a couple, what you would like to happen. That is a big thing. And it just comes down to common sense is the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So much of what you are saying, it makes perfect sense if you think of it at a common sense level. But on that day, you're not really thinking sensibly, I would think, you know?
No, but you've sort of interviewed somebody, to help you. You have to be comfortable. Like every single vendor that you have, a perfect example is your photographer. You've got to have this view of these are the pictures I want. This photographer can do those pictures. You're going to be spending 4 hours with this photographer. Does the personality fit? Can you spend that much time with
Mm.
how they instruct you and do this and that. So basically, even when you're doing vendors, you need to have a connection and belief that they're going to do the best they can for you. And when you've done all this work for the wedding planning, come down to the day of, you should be able to just breathe and say, okay, we've got it all down. And if any little glitch happens, we've got somebody that's just going to take care of it. Like I said before, you're going to plan for them, minimize, and smile through them, whatever happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could share some of the most common day of mishaps that you've seen or that you've heard about that could have been avoided with a good go-to person.
Okay, so I've got a list of probably six items here.
All
Okay,
right.
so the beginning one is ceremony or reception do not start on time and are not running smoothly. That's pretty basic. That's your whole day, ceremony and reception. The other thing is vendors not filling their contracts, tasks not clearly explained. Well, one example was we had an archway that the bride and groom were going to stand behind and, get their pictures taken and have their ceremony. And the flowers that came were too heavy for the archway. So we're going, oh, darn, heck, phooey. That's not good. And it wasn't the fault of the florist. It was the case of them not receiving the arch to know what it could hold. The people bought the arch, and the day of, it was put together. So they had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's all this planning stuff. So in a case like that, we had to hustle and figure it out. And between the florist, me and my assistant, we got it done. All we had to do was tell the bride and groom, do not walk through the archway. We're going to stand you in front. Otherwise, it would have just toppled over. So vendors, there's always something. And then a marriage commissioner. We've had ones not showing up on time, had a health condition arise, had a heart attack the night before, and had to be replaced and not following the requests of the couple. So there's all those little things. There's another part. And the biggest thing, which is a really thing that I keep sending home to them that they got to have, too much stuff to take away after the wedding and not having the people or vehicles in place to take it away. We're all happy. We had a great day, but at the end of the night, everybody's tired or whatever. And I've had to call up cabs to take stuff away and
Wow.
so it's just the planning. And then the typical thing is guests, bridal party, etc., not knowing what to do. So you know what to do so you can get those questions and answer them. And then the other thing is having to pay extended fee for not being out of the venue on time. People
Mm.
are having fun. I've turned the lights on and turned them off, moved stuff from the venue out into the parking lot just so they don't get paid. I mean, it's $200 plus an hour for any time that you go over. So that's a big thing when I'm doing the organization. I say, okay, we're going to start tearing down the wedding at 11 o'clock, even though you're going to be here till 12:30. We're going to do all the things that people won't notice.
Right.
Because you've got to be out of there at 12:30. If you're tearing down the place, getting everything out, it has to be done before the contract is up. And otherwise, you pay for an extended time just to break it down. So basically, it's one of those happens every time.
Yeah, that's a good point about the end of the ceremony. Take
Yeah.
away the alcohol. I
Yep.
mean, everyone's having a good time.
Yep.
It-
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Now, I love that, and you talked about checklists and worksheets and all that, and I love that your book includes these items. Why was it important for you to make this an interactive hands-on guide rather than just a book to read?
Education, actually. You can read how to do things. However, you need the skills and education and direction to carry them out. And hands on does it. And my first caterer that I had in my wedding business had a tagline for her business. And I just think it's so to the point. She has 3 words: passion, professional, and personal. And then she has underneath that, it is not because of what we do, it is how and why we do it. That basically says it all. And that's sort of the premise of the book, right? It's passionate, we got to be professional, and it's got to be personal, unique for you.
Yeah. You also include questionnaires to help readers identify their wedding personality, whether they're the DIY type or the party type or just feeling completely overwhelmed type. How does understanding your personality affect your planning process?
Basically, you know what you're capable of doing and what you will need help with.
Mm,
That's basically it. It says, okay, if you're, do everything yourself, then you're not letting other people help you and you're just going to get worn out. And we have 2 daughters, and one daughter, her sister, and I did all the planning and everything. She basically just showed up. She would only had a couple of things that she wanted in particular. Otherwise, we did it. And then our other daughter, she just wanted a party. And it was just, writing the ceremony, it was just signing the legal stuff. And then after that was just a big party. 2 definitely different personalities, and you work with them. You figure out what are you and what do we need to do. Basically what you're capable of doing and what you need help with.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, you talked a little bit about budget, and budget stress can certainly take the joy out of wedding preparation. What's one mindset shift that you can recommend to keep the spending realistic while still making your day special?
This is a big thing, and I do have an answer. So, take you back to the original questionnaire in the book. There's one line that says 5 priorities you both agreed upon, which you want at the wedding. If the expense is not related to any of those, just don't include them in the budget. Don't think about them. It's not important
Mm,
and it's not expense. And then I was really fortunate to meet this couple at one of the wedding fairs I attended. They had a yes test. And if yes is not the answer to the question or decision, then it does not happen. More discussion needs to be held or another option needs to be considered. Communication at its finest.
yeah. Oh, I love all of this. Uh, it's not just one yes, it's yes, yes. It's I
Yeah,
love
well,
that.
there's the 2 of you, and
Yeah.
it's gotta be yes, yes, like you both have to agree. It's the 2 of you going forward, it's nobody else. Yeah.
Gosh, we could use that for so many things. Your book helps couples enjoy the days leading up to the wedding, not just the big day. What practical things can couples do to make the entire experience enjoyable from start to finish?
The biggest thing to me is schedule date nights. And the book has a list of topics to discuss on the date, specific get to know you each question. I could use these questions on our date nights still now because situations and tastes change over time.
Mm,
Yes, we celebrate our dating anniversary every year. One thing on the date, you cannot discuss any related wedding stuff. Just be a couple learning following into a deeper love for each other. And then getting to know one another is fun, exciting, and is the basis for good communication, which turns into happiness ever after. Well, we
Yeah.
try. So I suggest you prioritize the scheduled date nights like you had before you got engaged. Schedule fun and not have conversations about the wedding. So it just takes the stress out. Or if you say, okay, we can't talk about the wedding, when can we? And then you address that on a different day. So it keeps you focused, and you also hear what the other person is concerned about, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's good. So at the back of the book, I wrote, what have you gained through this wedding process? And I think these are all important. This book is not just about wedding planning, it's about life going forward and making a bond between two people. So
Mm.
basically, it's now you have started the foundation for the rest of your life. You've learned that communication is key. You learned how compromising at times is an educational tool to problem or challenge solving. You learned how financing, budgets, and your money handling styles play into your everyday life. So, how they handle money now is how they're going to do it later on.
Mm.
And learn what is important to you regarding values, skills, wants, dislikes, and all aspects of your being, really. And then the biggest thing is you learned that you have someone else to support you, bounce things off, and love. That's it. So you get
Yeah.
all that through the book,
Wow.
basically. Yeah.
How do you suggest couples manage family expectations or differing opinions, when everyone seems to have a say or want to have a say in the plans?
This was a toughie. It is a tough one, but I have an answer for it, how to handle it. So, the only person you really need to listen to is your future spouse. That's it. You know what your priorities are and the budget. You don't have to please or take into account, your families and your friends and everybody else of the world. It's just what your priorities are in life and you both agree on it. Okay. So when people say you must have or you must do, it's their opinion, value, or taste. If the family expectations or differing opinions are expressed from anybody, if they are not yours, a simple, and here's the answer, thank you for your input is all that needs to be said. Thank you for your input. There's no need to add or however we're going to do it this way, and no need to make excuses either if you're not going to do what they suggested. The two of you have the final say decision, period. That's
Yeah.
it. So just say thank you for your input and go on with something else. But with weddings, there's always exceptions in any situation. If others are paying for certain parts of the wedding budget, then they may expect to specify certain opinions and requests regarding the part they are paying for. However, you know your wishes as a couple, and you will have to figure out, is the help worth giving up your control or wishes? So you can say thank you very much, but if you need money or help, then you got to let it go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
and there again, it's you too figuring out, is it worth it or how you're going to do it? Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think it's got to take a special person to be a wedding planner, I got to say.
It is a people industry, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You emphasize structure and planning, and yet, as we know, weddings are full of surprises. How do you help couples stay flexible when the unexpected happens?
Okay. Usually compromise is needed. You got to chill out, look at the big picture and ask yourself, will it matter in 1 year, 5 years? The reality of a wedding is three things are kept: your spouse, the ring, and your photographs.
Mm.
You most likely have read the saying, don't sweat the small stuff, whereas I suggest rewrite it for wedding planning to state plan for the small stuff, details, and don't sweat. You've done the work, have plan B and C in place just in case, go with the flow, and sometimes surprises make it better. And I've had a lot of weddings where they've had things thrown at them and they go, oh, I'm so glad that happened, or that was such a neat touch. So don't be afraid of surprises.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. I love that you give special attention to the groom and the wedding party. What roles do you think are often underestimated for those outside the bridal spotlight?
Okay, so I've got all the things that the attendants need to do. But the other thing is thinking of the vendors and guest enjoyment. They should have a good time and come away like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But, there's got to be some memory, something that you go, that was a cool night. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are a few details couples tend to overlook until the last minute, but really shouldn't?
Yeah. Uh, Specific written details for tasks. Take your time to breathe through the process. And then there's two things. You want to get certain things done before the wedding day if you can. And one of them is vendor contracts, make sure everything is on track. So check with them. Yes, we agree this is going to be done, blah, blah, blah. The other thing is get your decor organized, labeled with if you have certain things that you're going to have taken, like not the decorators that are coming, but certain things in there,
Mm.
labeled with written instructions how to use them, who needs to have it on the day, and who is going to get it there and taken away. Have all that information done, finished 1 month before the wedding.
Oh,
And
okay.
it could be your table setting, the centerpiece, or it could be the backdrop that you want behind the wedding table, or it could be the sign in, dropping your gifts off, and, seating arrangement stuff. All those things are tasks. And if you get them all organized, box them up, instructions, then it's done. You're not running around like who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And it just takes the thing off your plate. It,
Right. Right.
yeah.
That's
So
smart. So tell me, if a couple, after hearing this conversation, couple feels overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, what would you recommend their first step be?
talk to each other. The questionnaire that's in the book, fill it out, read the timeline and put marks beside that. Look at the budget in the book, figure that out. And then all these three give you direction and confidence. So, anyway, I offer to all my couples through my wedding business a complimentary chat. And what I do is I send out these three papers before we even chat.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's good. Like a consultation beforehand. So
Yep.
that's good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. And you need that. Yeah. For couples wanting more guidance after reading your book, how can they connect with you or learn about the wedding planning services you offer?
Okay, so I have a website. It's www.newpageevent.com, and page is spelt with an I. It's the website. And then you can email me at kathyforbes at anewpageevent.com. And the big thing is my gift to everyone, a perk. It's schedule the complimentary chat. It's free and informative, and that's to anybody, anywhere. Set it up. I love Zoom. You can do it all over the world. Yeah. And sending out those three forms, it really gets you thinking and focused. And so that chat of, an hour and a half is basically you've got it down pat. You,
Yeah.
you know where you're going and what you need to do. So anyway, that's my gift to everybody.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's a huge first step. So tell me about what's next for you in your wedding planning journey. Do you have any exciting plans or collaborations or new directions on the horizon? Or will you write another book?
Okay. The book end of it was really, it sort of opened up a whole new world to me. So I decided I'd rebrand my website and I've added a blog page. So I'm going to write an article monthly just about wedding planning, whatever, whatever the subject is. And then I'm going to be attending some trade fairs for both weddings and books. And I would like to become a speaker if I can not get tongue tied. And I'd like to start a class, how to do your wedding planning presentation, in the presentation of the process based in the book. And I can use Zoom and be worldwide.
Yeah.
And then my one thing that is going to be different, I'm collaborating on a children's book with my sister-in-law. She wrote the text, and I'm going to use my artistic, creative side being the illustrator on our book titled A Good Enough Fairy.
Oh, I love that. Wow, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
So it's the world sort of opened up for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so thank you, Sherry, for doing this interview. I've enjoyed it, and I talked way too long.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure learning more about you and your work, and I thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today for my interview with Kathy Forbes, author of Wedding Planning, 5 Easy Steps and the Secret to Pull It Together. You can learn more about Kathy and her work at anewpageevent.com. And be sure to check out our other interviews at InsideScoopLive.com.